collaboration, security, data center, and networking. This is IT in the Bay. All right, we are back. IT in the Bay podcast. I'm Sean Barr, and today I'm here with my man, Lee Jolly.
Hey, Sean.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today to tell us about all of the great things that you've done in the world.
Wow. Starting from when?
I don't know. Just kidding. So what we should do is I think, so Lee, you've been in IT. How long have you been in IT?
Technically since around 1995 was my first job in IT.
95.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what was that first job like?
So in high school, actually, before that, I was kind of like the IT admin at my school for several years and was taking computer classes that got me Novell and Microsoft certifications in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then, just right out of that, just got a job doing, it's kind of a form of technical writing where we would just design the desktop builds for larger companies. And then, did that for a couple of years and did desktop support and then systems administration and then network administration, network engineering, just kind of kept on going.
Kind of done it all.
Yeah.
What was the best part about your first IT job?
Well, man, it just it felt like I was just doing something that was kind of for actually an adult job. To be honest, I was 17 years old when I first started, and it just I had my first 50-mile commute when I was 17. And
Wow.
I just grabbed the coffee in the morning and went. So it was kind of cool feeling just like I'm a grown up now.
Yeah. Like the commute felt real, felt good.
It felt good for the first month or two.
Yeah, and then about 3 months later, reality set in, and you're like, "Oh my God, this commute sucks."
20 years later, you're like, "Dang."
Where were you commuting to?
It was San Leandro from out where I was.
Okay.
So it was a ways.
Yeah, and the first IT job, did you have like a mentor person that you followed or no?
Well, in that job,
or were you just
there's always the people who had been around a while.
Old school
guys, yeah. And always learned as much as I could from them, and there was always some really really cool people in the industry that were mentors to me. I can remember at least looking back 3 or 4 that have just really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so after that, so you worked in desktop support, and then with desktop support, you kind of touched it all, right? Servers and building servers, racking servers, desktop issues. Print my motherboard, remember the motherboards?
Yeah, there was actually work to be done in the 90s. Just break out everybody walked around with their little screwdriver sets and
you'd pop open the case and then reseat the card or change a dip switch or something.
Well, even in school, when I was in high school, some of the classes we would actually unsolder chips off the board and replace them after we've narrowed down what they were. All that stuff is completely useless information now.
Yeah, you chuck it. If it doesn't work, you just throw it away. You don't even open the case. You're like, it stopped working.
It was all really kind of foundational, though, because back then, just knowing how a processor worked and how interrupts worked and all that was important to know how to work within the operating system, because there was change you had to make there, too.
Yeah.
Nowadays, boards are just the boards, and operating system will take care of most everything with plug and play.
I remember the first plug and play. They announced plug and play, but it wasn't plug and play. It was still, you had to set a DMA and IRQ and all of that.
Yeah. You kind of had to know what you were doing. Yeah, it's surprising looking back how difficult it was, and how computers were starting to get really popular in everybody's houses, and you're like, how did they have this in their house when it just took so much work to get it working all the time?
Do you remember those switch arrays that had monitor, CPU?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that the coolest thing? You'd flip main and you'd flip the switch, and it was great.
That's how I pictured my dad's room. So my dad was actually in this before I was. So,
yeah.
And his thing, I remember he bought an IBM 8088 or 8086 possibly in the 80s, and so every time he got a new computer, which was every year and a half or so, that old one went to me.
Yeah.
And so his room just was like that to me. It had just he had a VGA monitor for color, his 4-color, and he had his monochrome because the text was better from that. He had switchers for that. He had switchers for everything, multiple keyboards and mice, and
Remember the switch? It was like basically a big fan of those like contacts, and you
yeah.
It's like a 9-pin
turning
switch.
the power on it like a nuclear plant. Or
Yeah, it's so old school. And then I'm sure he had one of those computer desks that was like the veneer brown, like that's like the staple.
He still got it to this day.
It's like still good. Dot matrix printer. It's like you know how it did the rock.
We had the 2 printers because dot matrix was again good for text, but then the others were like some laser that he got from work that was getting out of it. So our whole house was just filled with
So
junk.
funny. How many banners did you print as a kid? Remember like the banner?
Like ASCII text art?
No, just like the banner, because on the whatever they are, the dot matrix printer, it would just go forever. Do you ever print one of those banners? Like, I think it was like Paint Shop Deluxe or something like that. I don't remember.
The funny ones are when they just kept going for no reason, and just the paper was just kind of fed on its spool.
Just kind of kept going. Yeah, and then you're ripping the edges off. That's awesome.
For some reason that fun times.
Yeah. And so fast forwarding to kind of where you're at now, like you've recently switched roles, right? So you were primarily doing engineering and support, and now switched over to the sales side.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's been fun, and not without its own challenges there too.
Yeah.
But it's just been so long, 20-something years in engineering, and there's just a lot of good things in that too. It's just a lot to learn, and you're constantly like increasing your skill set. But I felt like it was time for a change. I always really just liked the kind of that entrepreneurial mindset of being your own boss, that sort of thing. And within LookingPoint, the sales organization kind of feels like that. It feels like you have control over your own destiny, and you're kind of just working with a lot of other people to accomplish something, rather than just you tapping away at the keyboard on a certain task. So it's been fun.
Yeah. What I guess what would be something that like from a networking standpoint, you kind of were looking at sales, and then now you kind of moved over to sales, and you're looking back at networking. Is there anything that you like saw from a different lens now? Like you look at it and you're like, I get why maybe the sales guy acted this way.
Yeah, totally. Just context is everything. And, I think everybody was telling me before I moved in what it was going to be like, and I believed them. So nothing was like a total shock about it. But there are things that you're looking at from a different angle. Like in engineering, it's very easy to just get tied down to just focusing on this solution and how it's going to be implemented. Whereas on the sales side, you're kind of looking at everything more holistically, not just the solution, but from the business angle and how it's all going to fit together. So it's been fun.
That's great. If when I think about like just the 2 roles, there's always I think you saw that video from a long time ago where it's like sales dude versus
IT guy.
Yeah. It's like you see these things, and there's a reason why that people put those things together, is because it is really viewed that way. Like the sales guy's like, oh, just how do we make it work? Go make it work, whatever. And then but having that that perspective of the engineering side, I think that could be valuable to customers as you talk with them, having that understanding of what you're installing, what we're delivering, how it's delivered. I don't know if you're seeing that sometimes that adds to the trust level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, also kind of being a generalist throughout my kind of career like this, knowing how all the pieces fit together has been kind of good. And just looking at, just trying to see all the pieces before they're there. I think that's been kind of helpful for me.
Okay, cool. I'm going to adjust your mic. I think you should adjust your mic down. So I just down and at you.
Pointed at me?
Like up, down. There,
up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that way.
I heard it's kind of cutting out there a little bit.
Yeah. I think you want to be on
Get
it.
right up on it.
Yeah, get right up on it like
all
that.
Right.
So awesome. So what? Let's go now to somewhere middle. Actually, I don't care where it's at in your career. When's the time that you felt like really amazing? Like when you've delivered something, or you felt like you were a superhero? Do you have one of those like moments that you could think of? I know it's like off the top, but
yeah. Well, let's see. I don't know. So I will say that just engineering at LookingPoint in general was the part at the time of my career. I just felt like everything was just starting to click as far as just pushing what I can do as an engineer. And I think a lot of consultants at other consultant companies, I'm sure, would say the same thing because you're just exposed to so much. But within that, man, there's been some good ones. There's always kind of those war stories and stuff, like the 24-hour cutovers and stuff.
Yeah. Or if you got one of those, bring one of those up. Yeah, where you're like, oh no, it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna make it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, things just sometimes they just take some time. You have really complex environments, and sometimes with multiple engineers going, people are working on different issues, and you don't know when it's all going to come together, but you're busy the entire time. And yeah, there has actually been like one 24-hour cut that really sticks out in my mind.
Oh, give it to
me. Without customer details.
Sure. Yeah.
It was a big data center. We were cutting over large parts of the network in other areas, but eventually we got back down to the primary data center, which was a really critical data center. Had to do with public safety and whatnot, and so there was really tight timelines on when things need to get done. And it was just lots of moving parts because you're replacing everything: internet edge, or the core switches, the fiber channel, everything on the back end for storage and their compute infrastructure. And it all had to be correct in a short amount of time. And so you start early and just work hard. And it was just, it can be stressful, but there are like the wins. As soon as you get out of it, it just feels like cheering.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
Yeah. I made it out alive.
It can feel like you're never going to leave. And then all of a sudden, like things start clicking. You're like, wait a minute, I can actually maybe sleep in a few hours.
I can reach this. Yeah. I definitely know what you're saying. Like those cutovers where you get halfway in and you're like, I can't turn back.
Yeah,
there's no way back.
We have a cutover plan, but it's going to take twice as long to cut back than it is to just move forward.
Yeah, that's like, those are the worst. And there's really nothing you can. I mean, we do all the prep you can. I'm sure all people that are doing consulting do all the prep you can, but still there's physical aspects. There's other things that come up that you just can't foresee. Like cutovers that. You're about to schedule a cutover and you've got it at 5:00 and somebody comes in and says, hey, we can't do anything till 8. Right. You're like, great.
Yeah. And our window ends at midnight. So,
yeah. Oh, the window's still done at midnight, right?
Right.
Yeah. You just lost 3 hours. Yeah. Cool. So I guess one of the things that's interesting is as you look at hear customer problems or challenges, what are some of the things that you typically hear from customers that are like some of the challenges that they face?
Well, I mean, it just depends on the technology, whatever it is. But, a lot of times it's just management of the interfaces and the devices themselves. I mean, some of the solutions that you can put in can have a lot of complexities and oftentimes need like entire teams to help kind of work within these certain things. Certain applications, like I'd say ICE, for example, is one of the ones that people can handle on their own, but there's a certain skill set that you need to develop, and getting over that the first steps of understanding what ICE is and how it operates and what to look for in there can be kind of daunting. So I'd say, a lot of it is like that, the initial management, taking on these new technologies and then trying to work with them in their own IT teams. How are they going to support this while they're supporting everything else they were supporting anyway?
So like kind of how do we I've thought about this term co-sourcing IT, and I've heard others talk about it, co-sourced IT, which isn't really outsourced IT.
Yeah.
But it's I need expertise in certain areas, and I think that's kind of what we're doing is some co-sourcing of IT, just depending on the technology. Because you're right, customers need help and people in IT need help with some of these advanced technologies that they've never seen before or never supported. So
yeah. And those relationships tend to be the best because, as you know, I worked in managed services here for a while, and working with the customers, with our managed service customers, it's always been the customers that I like the best are the ones that have like IT teams that are just wanting to learn and reaching out to us also, and we have like this good relationship where they can just call us and we can talk to them and give them the how it really is, and they learn from us too. So it's a two-way street, and it's kind of nice when you have the IT teams kind of, it feels like we are a partner, like we're working together.
Yep. What transitioning now from technology to something else. What if you had to pick a hobby outside of work? What would be like some of your...
Man, you know me, like, so I kind of jump from hobby to hobby.
Yeah.
Right.
Serial hobbyist.
Yeah. Well, it's just when you find everything interesting, how are you supposed to just pick one?
Yeah, exactly.
But let's see. Right now, man, I'm just, I'm really kind of, my daughter is like, she's 15. She's like into cheer. She's like super active. So whenever she's into something, I like start to try to be into it. So that's how I hurt myself pretty badly, was doing backflips and whatnot.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
But so I'm still trying, except I'm twice her weight and like 3 times her age, so things don't work out so nice. But yeah, that kind of stuff.
You approaching the top of the pyramid or anything? Like, I'm getting on.
So even, you know, some of the
build
things,
a base.
So my daughter, like growing up, as like any dad knows, you have your kids, you chuck them around, and it's just so easy. But now she's like getting older, so some of the stuff I'm trying to do, like we were in the pool and trying to do some cheer moves, and I could barely lift her.
Yeah, you're like,
let me start from in the water, and then I'll push up a little higher.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is starting to kind of show my age. I need to start hitting the gym a little harder.
Hitting the gym. Yeah. So no, that's great. So any other flips that you're trying?
Well,
I know the last flip you kind of hit your shin.
Kind of split open a little bit there, but
you know, you could have been a commercial for the spring-free trampoline.
You know what? I really could. Yeah, I started looking at them afterwards, but instead I just bought a much bigger trampoline.
Oh, you got more real estate. That's good.
Yeah.
And then maybe the net goes to the edge of the...
The other one did too. I just kind of went through it when I had that accident. Yeah.
Well, so kind of funny story. I actually was recently... my wife wanted me to get a trampoline for the kids, so we just got a spring-free trampoline because that was the only way she was going to do it.
Yeah.
I hope it bounces decent. It looks like it kind of does, but
I've seen pictures. I think it'll do good.
I think it'll be okay. So it has all that little, little
bent poles.
Bent poles. And
so you're going to be on that trampoline, I guess?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's getting built Thursday, I think.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I wanted to build it, but she's like, it'll take hours, and I don't trust you. So
Well, that's not something I would admit on a podcast, but
you know what? No holds bar. Get barred.
That's really fun.
Yeah. So we'll see. So hopefully I don't fly through the net or something.
Nah, you're gonna be good. Just like anything else, lots of YouTube videos.
Pole ejects and shoots through my arm.
Oh, yeah.
I got winged.
Just when you thought you did the right thing by buying the springless.
Yeah, what an idiot. You know. Okay, cool. Well, so you know, as we'll move back into some technology here. Let's just explore. Actually, what's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color?
You know, I don't know. When I was a kid, I always used to say red, but then I don't know. It just
it depends on what it is.
Yeah,
I feel that way too. I feel like you can't have a favorite color. It's like, what is it? A favorite color of what? Is it a car? Is it a food group?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't eat
a shirt
based off what color car I liked.
Yeah. You can't say, like, it's really hard to say my favorite color is red, and then you're like, how many red shirts do you wear? You're like, not
I don't
really.
actually have one.
Yeah. So it's not really your favorite color.
That's true.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah. Kind of a dumb question, Nick.
Are you calling my question dumb? Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's just move on to technology then.
Right, yeah.
Technology. When you think back to some of the early stuff, because you mentioned Novell, you did Novell, and like, what's been the, if you kind of look at where you started, we entered with high complexity, hard barrier to entry, just all those things, and then where technology is today. And that's really over, what, a 20-ish year period?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your kind of thoughts around the next 20 years?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because you never know what kind of major shift there's going to be from where they are. But looking back over the last, say, 20, 25 years, everything seems like it's built on top of the thing before it. So there was nothing like super revolutionary, but there are things that were adopted to make things just like the one I'm thinking about in particular is virtualization. So that had kind of come around a little bit. We were playing with it like VirtualBox PCs and that kind of stuff. But when enterprise really started adopting virtualization, that really kind of it really changed what they could do. It changed the way data centers looked. And even now, you start seeing these data centers that are enormous, and they only have like 1 or 2 racks in them, and it's because of the great consolidation of the early 2000s of virtualization.
Yeah, I mean, I remember virtualization, looking at it and going, "This is great lab and testing technology."
Yeah.
And VMware probably had, I'm sure they had visions of something greater, but they had to get people to adopt, and they got them to adopt mostly on testing and dev.
Yep.
But now it's like, what data center isn't running virtualization? I mean, for most apps, unless,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even it can be just as fast as if it was bare metal installed a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then who knows? Because those same sort of feelings that were at that time, like this is just for test dev. Like you could say that's similar to what people think of sort of cloud ran stuff right now.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just gonna run our test dev in AWS.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't really make financial sense right now to run our line of business apps, but. Who knows what scales of economy are going to change in the next 5 or 10 years to make those happen. But I mean, following where the technology is going, it's coming down to the complexity is still there, but it's usually masked behind an interface that's easily understood, that sort of stuff. So, I'd say that the skill sets of the future aren't going to be so much it's going to be one of 2 ways. It's either going to be the real nitty gritty, the programming ability, or it's going to be a generalized view with your ability to kind of control multiple user interfaces and know how they all work together.
Mm-hmm.
But not so much of that in the middle where you have to kind of do a little bit of both. Sort of thing.
And I wonder what, we still have issues today with that relate back to the most basic technology, like, layer 2, ARP issues, layer 3. I wonder how much of that will translate as things get more complex, but also provide more capability, but an easier deployment, like that underlying understanding, is that going to be required, or is it like, I forgot what that movie is where like people forgot how to farm kind of deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can kind of see it's almost like what we were talking about with the motherboards and desoldering chips. Like it's the consolidating of all that information, so it doesn't really need to be done anymore.
Yeah.
And I can see that completely happening. Like, why not? I mean, really, even the programming side that we talked about, API integrations and whatnot, that doesn't necessarily need to be so hard either.
Right.
So pretty much everything could be simplified one way or another, and they're not really removing the complexity. It's still there. It's just hidden from you.
Yeah.
And oftentimes with that comes reduced the ability. It reduces your ability to kind of make something custom because your options are more limited. Yep. But as most people who use iPhones and stuff today, we kind of get used to the reduced functionality to just provide a better service and something that's simple and just works. So I think this is going to continue going down that path where things are easier and work better, basically. Yep.
Yeah. When I think of the iPhone, when it first came out, I remember looking at it and going, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And where's the keyboard?
Yeah.
And feel like, it's gonna be a touch screen. And you think about the vision and the innovation there. Now, I couldn't imagine having, actual keys.
Yeah.
The other thing that the iPhone did was they talked about music on it, and I was thinking, I have a MP3 player for that,
Yeah, it's dumb.
This is dumb. I would never listen to music on my phone.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what are you talking about? You do everything on your phone. And so to be able to see that in game, I don't know, it just makes me think of, as technologies come up, how do you see through that?
Exactly.
That conditioning, I guess.
Can you imagine like not thinking that way? I mean, how do we live through that and then not think that things are gonna the things we think today might be BS based on what happened in the past.
But then how do you have the vision or to say, I'm going to whatever the scripting is around my brain, I'm going to unscript it to look to what could be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think we can pretty easily see like a trajectory as long as we kind of know where things are and what's not. It's the ones that you don't expect. It's like the things that come out that oh wow, I never thought we could do it that way. And those are I think more rare. But you never know. You can't really count on the future a lot of times.
And sometimes those big jumps. Like, do you remember? I think was it Ricochet that had the wireless, high speed wireless. That I think it was Ricochet.
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
but essentially it was like what the 4G stuff that you get in 5G now. Probably it was probably closer to 4G, but you get on your phone, and it was internet everywhere. And so they had this vision of, hey, you should be able to get the internet at high speed everywhere. But they were so early in the adoption, they their implementation of it was great. It probably helped expand the idea. I don't think they made it very far. Maybe they sold off. I don't know what happened to them. But now we have that high speed, but it's through the phone as the delivery mechanism, not a dedicated card.
Yeah.
And you just think about there's some technologies that are so early that we're not ready for. iPhone was one that was close. And
there's a ton of them, like Microsoft's like web TV stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of a few as you're saying it. It's just that one's tough too, because it is like the infrastructure around it too. Are we all ready to kind of use that you come out with? And it's tough. Those things, when they come out though, everybody can see that they're going to be good, and everybody knows, oh, it's just too early. Like you pretty much know right away when you see those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it's all about the implementation and all that too. It's not just the idea; it's how well it's done and how many people can reach that kind of thing.
Yeah, the ecosystem around it, or all of those things. Yeah. So I think the big things that have changed, bandwidth, to the home.
Yeah.
Wireless technologies, all that stuff's great.
Yeah. Don't know where it's gonna go. I mean, like 1 gig bandwidth, 5G, and just like every house having a gig, like basically like you're plugged in at work.
Yeah.
Then you start thinking, well, what could change if that was the case? And I'm kind of out of ideas. I mean, right now with current tech, it seems like, what we have right now is fine with a couple hundred meg bandwidth. But what's the next thing that's going to come out that's going to consume that much that we don't know about?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you start thinking about, augmented reality type delivery systems, things like that.
True. Yeah.
But that's awesome. Any final thoughts on the future? What do you think?
Wow. Just in general.
Yeah. What are you most excited about? Give me something.
I am a big fan of electric cars. And
I know you love electric cars.
I know.
Would you ever build your own electric car?
I've thought about it. So I'm building an electric motorcycle. I got
That's not a hobby, is it?
Well, I guess I could kind of count it as a hobby. Well, it was an electric motorcycle to start, but I'm putting in a bigger engine or bigger motor, a 1,000-watt motor, and bigger batteries and whatnot in it. And playing around with that. But I would love to do some electric car conversions. I always like the idea of taking like old cars from the 50s and 60s and throwing like a Tesla powertrain in it.
Dude, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a project like that.
Yeah.
Can you buy that on Amazon?
I'm sure. Yeah.
As our marketing team knows, there's been a problem with Amazon lately, as of late.
Well, I'll start firing my company card up then.
No. It's all for business purposes. Yeah. What's this Tesla drivetrain that's been
eBay
ordered?
Motors, yeah, 2 cars.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you being here today. I think we're out of time. They're waving at us, flashing the big light.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to be here.
All right. So as we exit the show, we always like to do a little IT in the Bay, synchronized IT in the Bay action.
Yeah. Do I go like high pitch, low pitch? How are we doing
you go where whatever you feel. You got to feel it.
Yeah.
So we just do it together as a closeout.
Wow. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. IT in the Bay. That was a little slow for our supporting cast
please
here.
Clap.
Please clap. Awesome. Well, hey, if you want any more of the content, Lee's been writing some blogs. He wrote a blog. He wrote a couple of blogs out there. You can check it out on lookingpoint.com. Go to the blog section. And we got a YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, and we will see you on the next show. Peace out.
IT in the Bay.
IT in the Bay.
In the Bay. IT in the Bay.
IT in the Bay.
In the Bay.